Are you an aspiring creative in entertainment, business, fashion, design, or the arts? Do you want to elevate your creative passion project to the next level? Then this show is for you. Whether you want a career in television, film, radio, literature, music, or beyond, Creative Breakthrough will show you how to take your dreams and turn them into reality. This show will not only leave you feeling motivated and inspired, but also provide you real-life tools to pursue the creative journey you have always wanted. I'm your host, creative coach, and chicken wing lover, Shireen Kassab, aka the Funny Brown Girl. Yes, I have an unhealthy obsession with chicken wings. Now, get ready to flex your creative muscle. Welcome back to another episode of the Creative Breakthrough. Hey, Happy New Year's. I love the start of the new year. It's a time to restart, re-energize, and redo. And I love setting new goals. So that's what we're going to do in this episode. But before we begin, a couple of announcements. First one, my website got spammed. Somehow, somebody subscribed 1,000 new emails to my website, funnybrowngirl.com. At first I thought, wow, I'm popular. Oh my God, look at all these new subscribers to my email. And then I realized that they were all fake Yahoo and Hotmail email addresses. My subscription service for my emails is looking into it, what could have caused it. But for now, I've gone ahead and wiped my entire email list clean so I can start from scratch. So if you were subscribed, or you thought you were, please subscribe again so that you can keep getting my weekly 3 emails. I would really appreciate being able to stay in touch with you. Just go to funnybrowngirl.com/subscribe. Second announcement, friendly reminder that next week I'm speaking to the New York Times bestseller Jasmine Darznick, the author of the New York Times bestselling book, The Good Daughter, a memoir of my mother's hidden life, as well as the book, The Song of a Captive Bird. Both are captivating reads, and I urge you to read one of them prior to our conversation next week. But if you don't have time, don't worry, the conversation will still be useful. And the last announcement, Canada, we're one of the top 200 podcasts, but I need your help. I need you all to leave reviews. Could you all please leave me an iTunes review after this episode? I go over the directions at the end of today's episode in the closing segment. Deal? Deal. Okay, now let's get started. As I mentioned earlier, January 1st is one of my favorite times of the year because I get to take an inventory of how the previous year went and set new goals for the current year. One of the first things I like to do is reflect on the previous year. I created a worksheet on my thought process of what this looks like. If you're interested, please visit funnybrowngirl.com/goals to download this worksheet. When I'm reflecting on the prior year, I like to think about it in 4 buckets. What was the best part of 2018? What did I achieve? What did I learn? And what do I need to let go of to start 2019 fresh? Then I like to map out my 2019 journey. A few years ago, I started a spreadsheet, really easy spreadsheet in Excel with all my dreams and action steps to turn them into goals. This was just a running list of all the things I want to accomplish in my lifetime, whether it's travel or relationships or cooking or buying certain things. I mean, I know life's not about material things, but there are some things that you strive for buying. Like I want to drive a Bentley. I know that. Someday down the road, I want to drive a Bentley. It is on this list. I want to travel to South America. It is on this list. I maybe want a kid. It's on the list. It doesn't have an end goal yet, but it's on the list. It doesn't have an action plan next to it either, but we'll get into that. Okay, so here's what it is. It's a spreadsheet, and it's got 3 columns. The first column is labeled goals. And this lists anything and everything I want to do in my life, like I just mentioned. For example, a few other goals that I've written down include be a correspondent on The Daily Show, write for SNL, sell a TV pilot, tell a story on the main stage at the Moth, do a TED Talk, perform in Carnegie Hall, and the list goes on. Okay, now these are just goals. These are really, they're dreams, okay? They're dreams, but I have an action plan laid out next to them, so now I can call them goals. But this is literally anything and everything that you want to do in your lifetime, not just this year, in your lifetime. Then what I do is I have a second column, and it's labeled skills I need. Now, for each goal, I list out the skills I need to get there. For example, The Moth. For those of you who are not sure what The Moth is, it is a podcast, but it's more than a podcast. I'm like really narrowing it down, but you can hear an example of it if you just search for The Moth. But don't leave this episode and go do that. Do that afterwards, okay? And basically, it's a storytelling. There's a topic that they're given, and then people come on stage and they tell a story, and they're judged by how entertaining their story is. I want to do one of those because I love telling stories and I think I'm funny. Now, how do I get on The Moth? Well, first, I need to really start listening to The Moth more regularly. I also need to start calling in. They do these things where you can actually call in and leave a story to a prompt that they give you. And then they'll play that at their shows and on their podcasts. And so you can like get your name kind of recognized and they can start keeping tabs on you. I also need to start participating in the local story club that I have here in Orlando. We have a local storytelling club and they meet and they do stories and they have competitions. And I just need to get involved with that. So this is how I can now break down my dream into actionable steps so I can call it a goal. So in column B, for skills needed, I could write strengthen communication skills, learn how to tell an engaging, interesting story, listen to The Moth to understand like what works, what doesn't, perhaps read a book on The Moth, any skill set that I would need to be successful in going into The Moth. The third column is labeled action. What can I start doing today to get me closer to my dream? For example, I can start attending these storytelling meetings in my city. I mean, one action is at least just going online and finding out what day they meet, what time, and where. Remember, a goal without a plan is just a dream. So you have to take your dream and lay out actionable plans to achieve it. And now is the best time to do that because we have a whole new year coming up where we can decide what are we going to focus our time on. Now, every year this list changes. I don't delete from it. I just keep adding to it because it's fun for me to see how my dreams change every year. I also have a fourth column that I recently started called notes where I'll just put little tidbits in there like decided not to pursue this anymore or try this and realize I didn't really like it. Or sometimes I can even say, done. I did this. This is completed. Like one of my goals was to be on a commercial and that I did that this year. So I can like cross that out and say I've done it. So now I have this list and I go through it and I highlight what are my top goals for 2019. And when I'm talking about my goals, I'm talking about column A, where I've laundry listed everything that I want to do in my lifetime. I go through it and I highlight, okay, what do I really want to focus on in 2019? I usually only pick 5 to 10 goals because more than that and it's hard to prioritize, but I also start to feel overwhelmed. If I accomplish all 10, then great. I can always go back to the list and get some more. Okay. So now I review these 5 to 10 goals and I go to the third column. What are the actionable things that I can do to get started? And I create a list of about 10 things that I can do immediately. I'm not talking about today, but I'm talking about in the next 30 days, next 60 days, next 90 days. What can I start working on to get closer to the goal that I've listed out in column A? These are immediate goals. I write these down on a separate piece of paper. I then make a list of 5 to 10 goals that I'm interested in, but I need time to accomplish. I add these 5 to 10 items to the previous list that I've started. So now I have a piece of paper with 2 columns. One is immediate goals and one is long-term goals. An example of a long-term goal could be, I want to be the main star in a blockbuster film. A goal of mine is to be in a movie that is played in theaters around the world that actually wins an award and is a blockbuster hit. But I know that my acting skills are not where they need to be to land such a role. So this year, an actionable step that I will take is to continue taking acting classes, a goal that I can do immediately to help me reach the goal that I need time for. So in one of my columns, my immediate goals will be to take acting classes and continue going and doing short films and web series and getting my name out there. And in the other column that are long-term goals, it'll be in a blockbuster hit film. So now I print this out. I print out my 2-column exercise, the immediate goals and the long-term goals. I print those out because I'm anal like that and I'm very analytical. And I add them to my passion planner. I clip them on the side of my passion planner. And every month I review them to see where I'm excelling and where I'm falling behind. For example, last year one of my goals was to write more than 20 minutes a day, but that didn't last long. But every month I reminded myself of that goal. It just turned out that it just wasn't a high priority for me in regards to the other goals on my list, such as read more or work out more. Another goal that I had in 2018 was to start a podcast. And literally, like in January, I was all excited. I went to a meetup and I started like reading about it. And then life got in the way. In February, March, April, the months kept going and I wasn't making progress on on starting my podcast. But every month when I would review this list, I would be reminded of, oh my goodness, I want to start a podcast. And like, this is the year I want to do it in. And so finally in September, I got my act together and I launched a podcast. But it was this constant reviewing this list and reminding myself of what were my goals and how was I going to get there. Okay, now, some of you might be thinking, oh my goodness, 5 to 10 goals, that's a lot of goals to have for 1 year. Well, let me caveat that. Some of my goals are repetitive year after year. One of the things that I really struggle with is my weight. I've always struggled with my weight. Like if I'm not careful, I can balloon up and like have serious medical issues. So for me, out of the 10 immediate goals I have, 3 are just about my weight. One is like get in shape, work out. Another one is see my abs. That should probably be more of a long-term goal, but I continue to put it on my immediate goal list because I keep thinking it's going to happen one day. And then another one is learn to cook healthier foods. Like I need to learn how to make healthy foods. And so that's on my immediate list. So your list doesn't have to be like these big grandiose goals that you have to achieve, like being in a TV show or a film or writing your first book. It could be simple goals like start a blog. A goal could be that you're going to read 1 TV pilot or 1 screenplay every month or every week, depending on how much time you have. And so that way you're setting yourself up for success so that you stick with it. And of course, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So don't set lofty goals for yourself that you don't think you can meet. For example, in 2019, I want to lose 10 to 15 pounds. I'm not going to say I want to lose 10 to 15 pounds in January because that's not going to happen. I may not even lose that in the first 6 months. I mean, in the first 6 months, I should be able to lose 10 to 15 pounds, but let's be honest, I probably will not. So I'm going to give myself the whole year. Be flexible with your goals, okay? And remember, your goals can change. They can shift. For example, like going back, one of my long-term goals in 2016 was to start a podcast, which then became my 2018 immediate goal and is actually a reality in 2019. But now the new goal is to be consistently a top 50 podcast. So my goals are constantly evolving and changing. If you find that the goal you made is too specific or too broad, you can always change it. No one's stopping you from changing it. But definitely make goals and then try to set deadlines for yourself. Like, know if you're going to try to accomplish that in the first half of the year, the full year, the second half of the year, because that will also help you not feel overwhelmed. So for example, I know in the first half of this year, I really want to focus more on speaking engagements. I really want to start getting booked more on doing speaking engagements and traveling more for speaking. But in the second half of the year, I really want to get my improv facilitation workshops off the ground. I really think that there's a lot that can be done with that, but I know I can't focus on both in the first half of the year, so I'm going to have to split up my time. So with that said, definitely go to funnybrownGirl.com/goals, download the 2 worksheets. One is called 2018 Reflection and one is called The Journey Ahead, and fill them out and then stick them in a passion planner or your diary or your journal. Keep them somewhere where every month you can take a look at it and see how are you doing, where have you gone. Keep your Excel file saved in your Dropbox so you can pull it up every month as well and just check your progress and keep adding to your list because you never know what's going to be the next big thing that you want to work on. So I want you guys all to win in 2019. Deal? I want us all to win. We're all going to win. We're all going to pick a goal and we're all going to accomplish that goal and we're going to motivate each other to stay on track. And if you need help with motivation and inspiration or any advice, you can always send me an email or slide into my DMs. It's info@funnybrownGirl.com or on any social media @funnybrownGirl. Let me know how you're doing because I want us to win. 2019 is our year. Now, go flex your creative muscle and keep winning. Hey, before you hit pause, did you find this episode helpful and enjoyable? If so, could you leave an Apple Podcast, aka iTunes review? It'll take you less than 1 minute and mean the world to me. The more ratings and reviews the show gets, the more people are able to find this podcast. If you're unsure how to leave a review, no worries. If you're on your iPhone or iPad, go to the homepage of this show and scroll down to Write a Review. Click on it and you'll be able to rate and review the show. If you're on a Mac, from iTunes, go to the show homepage and on the top, click Ratings and Reviews. Also, please subscribe to get the latest episodes once they drop. If you enjoy the episode and know someone who would love it, please share. From your iPhone, click on the icon with 3 dots and then share via social media, email, or text. If you want to hear more, head over to funnybrownGirl.com/podcast. You can also find me online. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Funny Brown Girl. Also, sign up for my free newsletter for more tips to advance your creative journey at funnybrownGirl.com/subscribe. And again, if you enjoyed the show, do me a favor and subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts. Now, go flex your creative muscle and keep winning. Thank you for listening. See you next week.